I'd seen my fair share of neighborhood spats over the years, but nothing prepared me for the chaos unleashed by Marjorie Hensley, the iron-fisted president of our Pinewood Estates Homeowners Association. What began as a simple disagreement over my front yard landscaping spiraled into a jaw-dropping saga that ended with her demanding I pay her utility bills and calling the cops when I refused. This is the story of how one woman's obsession with control turned our quiet suburban enclave into a battleground and how we fought back. 3 months ago, I moved into Pinewood Estates, a tidy neighborhood in suburban California with manicured lawns and charming ranch-style homes. The HOA fees were reasonable, and the streets were postcard perfect. I thought I'd found my slice of the American dream, but I hadn't counted on Marjorie, who'd been running the HOA like her personal fiefdom for 5 years, unchallenged by a board too weary to oppose her. My first clue came during a welcome visit. Marjorie, dressed in crisp chinos and a polo, handed me a 3-inch binder of rules not found in the official HOA documents. With the precision of a military officer, she flipped to section 14.2. Lawn maintenance must occur every Saturday, 8 o'clock to 10 a.m., she declared. I inspect every yard on Sundays to ensure compliance. The original HOA covenants only required regular upkeep, no specific days or times. When I pointed this out, her smile tightened. Those are outdated. My rules protect property values. I should have started documenting right then, but I figured I could handle one overzealous busybody. I was wrong. The trouble kicked off when I hired a landscaper to plant native, drought-resistant shrubs in my front yard. California sage and manzanita, fully compliant with city permits and the original HOA covenants. The morning after the installation, Marjorie stormed over, her face red with outrage. These plants aren't on my approved list, she snapped, waving her ever-present clipboard. I showed her the covenants, which allowed native species. Those are obsolete, she retorted. My updated guidelines require pre-approval. Rip them out and plant approved grass. When I asked for proof that her rules were legally adopted, she hissed, I am the HOA. I decide what's allowed. That's when I realized I wasn't dealing with a neighbor, but a tyrant who believed her title gave her unlimited power. Over the next few weeks, Marjorie's harassment became relentless. She slapped violation notices on my door daily, each more absurd than the last. Fines for leaving my trash cans out too long, parking in my driveway at improper hours, even having blinds that were off-white instead of pure white. None of these rules existed in the official documents, and her fines, hundreds of dollars each, were pure fiction. When I ignored them, she escalated, snapping photos of my property at all hours and leaving notes accusing me of defying community standards. Then came the breaking point. One morning, I found a $412.19 bill from Pacific Gas and Electric in my mailbox. Marjorie's electric bill, with a sticky note. Your violations have forced me to work overtime in my home office. You owe me for the extra electricity. I laughed at the audacity. She'd convinced herself her obsession was my fault and that I should foot her utility costs. I marched to her house, bill in hand. Marjorie answered, wearing rubber gloves and clutching a spray bottle, mid-cleaning frenzy. This was in my mailbox by mistake, I said, holding up the bill. No mistake, she replied smugly. Your defiance has increased my workload documenting your infractions, researching penalties, and contacting city officials. My office electric bill reflects that. I stared, stunned by her logic. Marjorie, you can't bill me for your expenses. That's not how HOAs work. She didn't flinch. Per my calculations, you owe 3 months of increased usage, plus a $50 administrative fee. Pay within 10 days, or I'll sue. When I refused, her eyes blazed. You'll regret this, she said, slamming the door. 2 days later, sirens wailed through Pinewood Estates. A police car parked in front of my house, and 2 officers approached, followed by Marjorie, practically giddy with anticipation. The older officer, a calm man in his 50s, checked his notepad. We got a call about theft of services and refusal to pay mandated fees. I glanced at Marjorie, smirking behind them. I'm current on all HOA dues, I said. This is about her electric bill. Marjorie jumped in. He owes me $412.19 for administrative costs due to his violations. The younger officer blinked. You're saying he owes you personally, not the HOA? Exactly, she said. The officers exchanged looks, clearly grasping the absurdity. Ma'am, the older one said, we can't arrest someone for not paying your utility bill. That's a civil matter, not criminal. Marjorie's face fell. But he's stealing my services, she insisted. Did he request this work? The younger officer asked. No, but then it's not theft, the older officer cut in. Take it to small claims court. And stop calling 911 for this. They warned her about misusing emergency services before leaving. Marjorie stood in my driveway, fuming, then stormed off, muttering. You'd think that would have stopped her, but humiliation only fueled her vendetta. She doubled down, issuing multiple violation notices daily for things like disruptive landscaping or reflective driveway glare. Her fines grew wilder: $600 for environmental defiance, $900 for architectural rebellion. When I still didn't pay, she called 911 again, claiming I was destroying property values through malicious noncompliance and demanding my arrest for grand theft of neighborhood equity. The same officers returned, now openly exasperated. Ma'am, this is your third false report this month, the older one said. Plants you don't like aren't vandalism, and property values aren't something you can steal. Marjorie's delusions were crumbling, but she wouldn't quit. Enough was enough. I documented every notice, fine, and encounter. It was time to fight back. I filed a complaint with the California Department of Real Estate, which oversees HOAs, and a harassment report with the police. I also sent certified letters to every homeowner in Pinewood Estates, exposing Marjorie's unauthorized rules and her attempt to bill me for her electric bill. The response was electric. Neighbors I'd never met shared their own stories of Marjorie's tyranny fines for uncheerful garden gnomes, kids' toys left out too long, or work trucks parked overnight. We'd all been silenced by fear, but my letter sparked a rebellion. Within days, homeowners signed a petition for an emergency board meeting to oust Marjorie. The meeting, held in the community center, was packed. Marjorie strutted in, clutching her binder, confident she could charm her way out. I've only acted to protect our property values, she began. But one by one, neighbors stood up. Mrs. Thompson recounted an $850 fine for inappropriate flower beds. The Garcias were cited for their son's bike left out past noon. The room grew tense as stories piled up, each revealing Marjorie's unhinged grip on power. I went last, holding up her electric bill and detailing her 911 calls. This isn't leadership, I said. It's a power trip, and it ends tonight. The vote was a landslide, 41-2 against Marjorie, with only her and her loyal friend, Mrs. Carver, in her favor. The Department of Real Estate's investigation sealed her fate. Marjorie had violated state law by creating unapproved rules, issuing unauthorized fines, and misrepresenting her authority. She was fined $15,000 for regulatory breaches, plus $5,000 for each of the 6 families who'd paid her bogus fines, totaling $45,000. She was banned from serving on any HOA board for a decade and ordered to repay affected homeowners. At the follow-up meeting, when the penalties were read, Marjorie's face drained of color. $45,000, she whispered. I was just trying to help, but no one bought it. Her reign was over. Pinewood Estates is quieter now. A new board, elected transparently, is rewriting the rules to reflect the original covenants. I can tend my sage and manzanita in peace, and neighbors wave instead of whisper. Marjorie's house is up for sale. Rumor has it she can't afford the fines. The ordeal taught us that unchecked power, even in a small HOA, can wreak havoc, but collective action can set things right. What do you think about this story? Have you ever faced a bully like Marjorie or fought an injustice in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss how we handle power and fairness in our neighborhoods. Your voice matters.